Hello friends, it's been 2 months since we saw each other. Different hairstyle a little bit. That's what happens when the Formula 4 Spanish Championship waits 2 whole months before we have to go back on track again. Of course, we are here in Portimao for the second round of the 2026 season, but before coming to Portugal, we went to Valencia back in April for that first round of the season. And it was quite a good one, quite an interesting one, because we saw a few details that are interesting to keep an eye on. First of all, we are in the land of Noah Montero, one of the winners back in Cheste, and of course he will want to make an impression on home soil in front of his family and friends, and of course his fans. But if he has to do it, he will have a difficult mission ahead of him because, of course, the other winner in Cheste was Rocco Coronel, the championship leader, who will definitely want to defend those point advantages ahead of what is sure to be an exciting season. They were not the only winners. Of course, Vivek Kantan, on his second year in the series, wants to show that he can do it, that he can fight with the top dogs, and that he's not one to be scared of the new rookies who want to make an impression. But beyond that, we have a very interesting situation. We had the surprise of Aleix Piñera being on the podium several times in Valencia, and he could be one potential surprise to see here in Portimao, which shows that the classic duel between MP Motorsport and Campos Griffincorp is not necessarily a matter of one-to-one anymore. Other teams are joining the fight. We know that Drivex could be there. We know that Technicar could be there. We know that pretty much any team on the grid could be a factor, and therefore, this weekend here in Portimao is looking quite exciting. We had 5 podium drivers in Cheste, so of course here we could have some more. Now, what's clear is that we are looking into a very exciting weekend, so look forward to it.
We certainly are excited for the battles that await us. We are in for a very exciting duel here on the Portimao circuit. Great to hear from our host at the top of the bill, Alex Garcia. Jake Sanson here in the commentary box as ever for the F4 Spanish Championship. And as Alex reiterated 2 months ago, the first round of the championship, a lot of thrills and spills along the way, including Rocco Coronel taking 2 victories and the lead of the championship. Not bad for a rookie driver. He's obviously going to have the fighting talents of Noah Montero and Vivek Kantan hot on his heels this weekend. Kantan denied a victory post-race in the first encounter and then taken out of the second, only to bounce back for the third. And 3 podiums in a row for Aleix Piñera surprisingly puts him in the top 3 of the Drivers' Championship. Not something that many people had on their bingo card going into the start of the season. But that's not the only thing that people were surprised by going into this weekend, because after the first qualifying session, nobody probably would have guessed the pole position sitter for the first race of 3. That is the Maltese talent, Jakub Mikulev for Campos. A fabulous opportunity for him, managing to bag the pole position by just 6 thousandths of a second in front of the talented Pole Boris Lazen, who's definitely showcased his form in the Winter Championship in the pre-season. So now there's definitely big action ahead as we go into the next part of the championship campaign. Looking at qualifying, Noah Montero alongside Ty Fisher on that front row of the starting grid. And of course, we've got Casper Schulmans biting on the heels of Nathan Ty, with Vivek Kantan all the way back in 7th position on the starting grid. Certainly not where he wanted to be. And that will make things very difficult for the American to try and fight his way forward. You can see already the competitors in good fighting spirits ahead of this one. And we've got some new drivers on the starting grid going into this weekend as well. A few new faces for this particular weekend. Yuzuki Sato has come into the Mondial Competición squad, as well as the American driver Andre Rodriguez for GRS team, who made 3 visits to the F4 Spanish Championship last season. He returns to the category one more time as well. And it's going to be fascinating to see what Daniel Motta can do for the Thibaut Courtois racing team. Previously a contender in the world of the Spanish and Valencia karting championship for the TC Racing junior team back home in Spain. But here in Portugal, he makes his single-seater debut in the F4 Spanish Championship. Keep an eye on Yuzuki Sato, by the way. This is his first ever car racing campaign of any kind. But the Mondial Competición driver managed to grab the FIA Karting Academy trophy title last year in senior. That is the karting championship that gave the world Charles Leclerc. So his title cannot be underrated in terms of pedigree. And the Japanese star, the latest from Asia to make his way into the F4 Spanish Championship. 36 cars and drivers, and that'll certainly be a tough one from the front row of the grid for Jakub Mikulev and Boris Leisen. There is the number 12, Philippe Caras, who's actually gone quicker than his twin brother Jean-Paul. So it'll be interesting to see what the twins can do as they battle away around the circuit once more. There's always going to be that little interim title battle between the two drivers there for G4 Racing. But of course, all eyes are going to be on the boys and girls in orange and white. We've got the guys from MP Motorsport on one end of the scale and the Griffin Cores in white on the other side of the scale. Griffin Cores and Campos, of course. It's going to be an interesting battle, so let's catch up with all the latest gossip from down in pit lane. It's Alex Garcia once again. Will be able to give us all of the skinny after qualifying. Alex, first and foremost, great to see you. Glad we've got good new matching hairstyles. But one thing we have to say coming into this first race of the weekend, Jakub Mikulev, pole position. Wonderful to see that the man 19th in the championship has pulled a fast one in qualifying.
Absolutely, Jake. Glad to hear that we followed the same strategy, which means that we are on the right one. And yes, the man who did this right strategy today in qualifying was the Maltese Falcon, Jakub Mikulev, who has been surprising, I think, everybody here in the paddock in Portimao. Not because he's not fast, we know that he has plenty of speed, but because it has been a big leap from the first round in Cheste. It is true, Valencia and Portimao couldn't be more different, and the season is still in its infancy, so anything that you can repeat from today onwards is worth fighting for, because it could lead you to fight for the championship. Now, speaking about the championship, I am surprised to see Jakub Mikulev in that first place, as I am to see Rocco Coronel outside of the top 10. He will have to fight back on this qualifying one. And of course, this is important because we have Noah Montero from the second row on the grid. And this is already important for the championship, considering the previously announced duel for this 2026 season, Jake.
So the Portimao circuit, we know it's going to be a very competitive one based on what we saw in the championship pre-season. But this is overtaking fodder. They know exactly what is going to be facing the three races. This is a great opportunity for several people. Canthan needs to make a bit of a comeback here after the massive points he lost last time out in Valencia. But then you've got drivers on the comeback charge really starting to put on a decent showcase in qualifying. Canthan is there in 7th, Kelleher's 8th position. Dunjan Petrovic, the T-codes can't be underrated. But let's be fair, Alex, this is going to be a tough one for the championship leader. Rocco Coronel starting all the way back in 11th. He's got a mountain to climb in the first race.
Exactly, it's tough because even though Portimao, as you said, is a great place for overtaking, and that means that we're not going to see so many struggles as we saw in Valencia. But the gaps between all of the drivers are very, very small. I'm just looking at the results from this qualifying, and we see less than 3/10 over an almost a minute lap between 1st and 11th place. This is incredibly tight, and I've been talking to some of the drivers and engineers, and everyone is just saying just how tricky it is to get that speed. Not because it is more difficult than usual, but because the tiniest mistake here is punished tenfold. And this is perhaps what makes this championship so rough for the drivers. They need to perform at a perfect level every single lap, at least every single qualifying lap for sure. Race may be a little bit more forgiving if you have a good setup, but looking forward to seeing Rocco, because we know that he's a driver who can come back from these kind of positions. Then again, I think, Jake, you will agree with me that we have at least 4 different teams who have the speed to win. And I was checking the results from this morning earlier, and I can count around 15, 16 drivers who could be potential candidates for the podium. And that is half the grid, essentially.
So as battles go, we know that the F4 Spanish Championship always provides fantastic badinage. there's going to be some tough midfield squabbles. We can already tell from qualifying, with so many drivers slightly out of position and others trying to gain position. Coronel and Pineda are top 3 in the championship, and they're sharing the 6th row of the grid. Luna Flucia drove beautifully here, if you remember, in the pre-season in the Spanish Winter Championship, when she managed to grab a 2nd position from reverse grid. So she knows this circuit well and managed to bag a podium here in the Winter Championship. So it's going to be one to keep on the radar, but also Jensen Burnett, way down in P20 of the grid. He's definitely going to be trying to work his way through the field. So with so many different squabbles out there, one thing we have to take note of going into this is the weather conditions. We know this place can be very windy at times, but this time we've got about 7 kilometers, 8 kilometers an hour crosswinds, 44% humidity with a 24 degrees Celsius track temperature. So it's not as tough as it could be out there, but it's certainly going to catch out the underprepared. And with a few new faces on the grid this time, like Yuzuki Sato, Daniel Motta and Andre Rodriguez, there could be a few unknowns this time, Alex. What do you think the new drivers are going to face ahead of this first race?
I think one of the challenges that the new drivers are going to find is that most of the grid has already raced here this year. Remember that we of course had the Spanish Winter Championship, and this means that most of the drivers have references from just a few months ago. Yes, the conditions are different. As you mentioned, the temperatures are different enough, but it is always valid to have all of that data. Of course, I understand and I imagine that the teams are going to make sure that the onboarding of these new drivers is as smooth as it could be. But as a driver, there's nothing that can substitute, nothing that can replace actual track time. And the drivers who are here in the Spanish Winter Championship have plenty of that. And this is the big challenge for the new guys. But we know that they have plenty of talent, so I look forward to seeing what they can manage, especially because it is very early in the championship. So they have time to get used to it, to learn the tracks, to learn the cars, to learn the way the teams work, and see what they make of it. One point to mention as well, because you mentioned Luna Fluxa, who did so beautifully in the Spanish Winter Championship. I was quite impressed as well today with Zoe Florescu, who qualified within the top 20, and that is a fantastic result from another one of the very, very competitive and very talented girls that are in this championship this year.
Right, let's talk about this venue, the Portimao circuit here on the Autodromo Algarve. It's very tough to be biased as a commentator, we're not supposed to be, but this is my favourite venue on the calendar. Of course, it's going to be returning to the world of Formula 1 next year as the Portuguese Grand Prix is back on the calendar. But this place tests the drivers in so many different ways. You've got high-speed apexes, you've got blind crests, you've got changes of elevation, everything that the driver could face as a 15, 16, 17-year-old at the birth of their career will pretty much be thrown at them in this one venue. So for these 3 races, Alex, this is going to test the calm, composure and discipline of these drivers as much as it will test their speed.
Exactly, it's a fantastic track, Jake. I have to say, you have very, very good taste. But it is the newest track on the calendar in terms of when it was built, so the facilities are fantastic. This is very important for the teams, of course, but also the drivers feel comfortable here. The track is cool, the ups and downs, the roller coaster nature of it just makes it fun to drive, but it's also challenging. And when you challenge a driver grows. And these drivers are here to grow, to improve, to get better, and to become their best possible selves. Now, I have to say I'm biased because Barcelona is just next to my home, so that would probably be my favorite. But probably, when we look at the quality of the racing, Portimao is probably the track where we are going to see most overtakings, most fights, and where we are going to see probably the most action of the season. Now, I could be wrong, and I hope to be, because that would be a good surprise, but this is what historically has been, so we're in for a fantastic weekend.
So now we've got these 36 drivers ready to go and finding all of the difficulties that will challenge them here on this Autodromo Algarve circuit. You can see for yourselves, guys, on the pictures on your screen, the grid is now being full up. They have got their 2 reconnaissance laps out of the way. basically they drive through the pit lane at the end of the first one and then make their way onto the starting grid. So many drivers out of position though, after one of the toughest qualifying sessions of the season, in dry conditions but in cool conditions. So it really was a tough one. Mikilev, Leijzen, Montero, Fischer, Tai, Shormans. That's not a top 6 many people would have had on their books, especially considering that it counts out Canthan, Coronel and Pineda. 3 of the top 4 drivers in the championship rankings come into this one. Who has impressed you of the drivers lower down the field this time, Alex? We've been keeping an eye on the drivers since the start of the year, and after what we saw in Valencia, there must have been a couple of faces that caught your eye through the course of qualifying earlier.
I wouldn't say necessarily from down the field, and I have to go with the obvious choice with Mikilev, who was definitely, I wasn't expecting to be just quick enough to get the pole. But as I mentioned before, I am very satisfied with seeing Zoe Florescu within the top 20, because this means that these girls who are also, let's not forget that, also competing in F1 Academy, they are not just using these to train, they are not just using the Formula 4 Spanish Championship to add mileage under their belt, they're actually using these to race, to try their best, and to get the best result they can. And this probably shows the respect that drivers have for this series. And as you can imagine, from all of us here, it's just fantastic to see them, giving everything they have. So probably those would be my picks, but I'm sure throughout the race we'll see something that I will be more impressed with. I also have to say that I'm very interested in seeing what Yuzuki Sato is going to do this weekend. I've always followed Japanese motorsport, so anytime that any Far Eastern driver takes that big leap into European motorsport, I always have big respect for them.
You and me both. Very proud still to be the voice of Super Formula as much as I am of F4 Spanish and Euro Cup 3, and it's always wonderful to see what these guys can do. Nathan Tai, the Tiger, getting himself ready for another exciting battle here in Portimao, a circuit that's been kind to him in the past. And speaking of circuits kind to drivers, Noah Montero, we saw him on our screens earlier in 3rd position. How much pressure is on his shoulders going into this one as a Portuguese driver on home soil, right up in the sharp end of the field? Clearly, everyone's going to have their eyes firmly fixed on Noah Montero. His father, Tiago, beside him in car just beforehand. Let's talk through the grid in full. Jacob Mikilev and Boris Leijzen, front row the starting grid for the Maltese and the Pole. A fascinating lineup. Montero and Tai Fischer, second row of the starting grid from Nathan Tai and Casper Shormans on the 3rd. Then it's Vivek Canthan alongside the Irishman Dan Kelleher. Rounding out the top 10, we've got Nasha Tunyon and Andrei Petrovic, the Tico twins. Rocco Coronel and Alice Pineda way down in row 6, with Elliot Kaczynski and Santino Beretta in position. Luna Flescher and Max Redek in position from Filip Karas and Miki Blashkos. Rounding out the top 20, Zoe Florescu and Jensen Burnett. 11 is Karas and Felipe Rice. And then on row 12 of the grid, it is Yuzuki Sato making his debut from Bolavet of TC Racing. Rahim Alibai and Louis Cochet on row 13 from Fausto Manado and the karting sensation Daniel Motta. Pablo Ricabono and Andre Rodriguez, then Maria Neto on her home soil and Sebastian Frigolet, and then Alphonse Mitteren from Sam Urus. Rounding out the field, it is Jordan Moodley and Rodrigo Martinez. Tough battle ahead of us, Alex. Who's your money on for this first race?
A risky choice, I know. We haven't seen too many winners yet, but I'm hoping to see a new winner. I think probably the first row of the grid has a good chance. So let's go with Jacob. I think Jacob could do something special, just as we saw in Paul Ricard, new countries winning in Euro Cup 3. Why not a new country winning here in Formula 4 Spanish Championship?
And it would certainly put Malta on the international motorsport map. He carries a lot of the weight of expectation of everybody back home in Takali. So it'll be wonderful to see him put Malta on the board. It's always fascinating when drivers showcase their talents on the world stage. Alex, thank you for your help. Let's get underway for the first race of the day. Green lights are flashing. Let's have a great race.
Let's get cracking.
And so to battle on the Autodromo Internacional Algarve for the first race of 3 in the F4 Spanish Championship. We're joined this weekend, of course, by Euro Cup 3. And this is one of my favourite circuits in the world that I've ever been to. I've been here for many different types of racing in the past, on both the car circuit and across the road, the karting circuit. This place really is a sensational motorsport hive, and it's a shame really that not more people know about this place. It is probably one of the most underrated circuits in the world. If you were to put another circuit into the same category as Spa, Nürburgring, Monaco, Bathurst, I would absolutely put this place in that mix. It's one of the newer circuits to join the clan, but it is absolutely one of the most spectacular. It has all of the great facilities that you would expect of a world-class motorsport venue. It's in the middle of nowhere, which makes it a little bit of a mystique of a venue, but it always delivers motorsport of the highest possible standard. I have yet to see a boring race on this circuit. Oh, well, it's certainly not a boring race for one. The race hasn't even got underway yet, and one of the GRS is being wheeled back in. Is that the 74? I think that might be the 74 being wheeled back in at Pablo Riccobono. It is! So Pablo Riccobono in the GRS, not even taking the side. So if this race it's going from... Oh, and that's another one. That's Alphonse Mittenen. So Alphonse Mittenen pulled off. Both trouble. So there's only one left. And then Rodriguez. My goodness me, the man who's making his first appearance in 6 has now got the expected GRS on his shoulder. In the race of the race hasn't even started yet. That is catastrophic bad. Well, a genuine for the GRS team, and certainly he was hoping for. So all of the competitors now making their way around the end of the lap, and we're going to see just how things to progress for this start. Everyone in. Let's see if it continues for the drivers up front. I hope it's going to be a good run from the start. Certainly our contenders will want to get straight out of the blocks from the front row of the grid and be at the sharp end. Jakob Michellev, Boris Leisen, Noah Montero, Ty Fisher, Nathan Ty and Casper Schormans, Vivek Canthan, and then Daniel Kelleher from Dunion and Perinel, way down in 11th alongside Elish Pinheira, hoping for a bit more fortune. Then Kaczynski, Balbarella, Flusha, Radek, Kat Blaskos, Florescu, Burnett, Caras again, Rice, Sato, Loet, Alibai, and then Koche, Arnaldo, Motta, Riccobono, Rodriguez, Neto, Frigole, Mittenen, Urus, Moodley and Martinez. Although, of course, 2 of those drivers are already in trouble. Alphonse Mittenen is out, and Riccobono, if he takes the start, will be doing so from the pit lane. So we've got 34 of the 36 cars going from the grid. So all the drivers getting into position in the final few rows, and we'll see if Jakob Michellev, the Maltese driver on pole position, can sustain the pressure of the moment. From Takalai in Malta, 16 years of age, he's never been under more pressure, and he will go to the first corner first if he gets a good start. Lights coming on here at the Algarve. Let's race at Portimao! And it's a perfect start for Boris Leisen. He's going to jump ahead of Michellev. So a great launch from Leisen. Montero's coming through to second place as well. Great start for the home favourite as we go into turn 1. Nathan Ty trying to get level with Jakob Michellev, who runs wide. And Ty's going to try and get that nailed on the inside in the Drivex. Is it going to be a perfect move? He's going to have to work at it. Michelev's really going to make him hanging out to the far side. But out in the lead, it's Boris Leisen. What a start from the pole. Side by side over the crest. And already Rocco Coronel on the move. He's made up several places, so this is a great start for the championship leader. Down into the braking zone at the bottom of the crest. Into the hairpin. Keep it tidy, ladies and gents. You can't win the race on lap 1. You can definitely end it, though. And everybody just about keeping on the straight and narrow. So it looks as though everybody's under starters orders. Riccobono did get away from the pit lane, so only Alphonse Mittenen out of the race as our drone picks up the footage over the tight apexes in the middle of the second sector. And now we go down the blind crest. This is a big charge forward from Vivek Canthan, trying to take on Casper Schormans. Schormans holding the inside line, but Canthan's got him on the outside line. Oh, no room for negotiation. And Canthan is going to have to come back another go. And that's almost put him into the path of Ty Fisher. Rocco Coronel fancies his chances. Fisher up the inside, but side by side the teammates. Canthan does not want to lose out to his Canadian stablemate on the inside line, and he holds position, but it's not going to be easy to sustain that. Coronel's got Tugnon behind him in the Tico, then Kelleher, Petrovic, Kaczynski, Binyana, Flusha, Canas, Balbarella and Blashkos. Up and over the top of the crest again, and onto the home stretch, and Bodish Leisen leads the way from Noah Montero. Nathan Ty third, Mikilev, Shormans, Fisher, Canthan trying to break the toe down into turn one. Still a bit of an issue here between Canthan and Fisher. Bit of a wobble, twitch in the middle. That is the 37 of Ty Fisher wobbling at the expense of Vivek Canthan. Canthan to the inside line. He'll dive. Late lunge from Tugnon on Rocco Coronel, but Coronel's not going to leave him any space at all. Up through four. Now the crest of the rise. They'll drop down over the blind apex into the hairpin. Leisen leads the way. Montero doing a grand job to try and close him up. 0.6 of a second between the two. So a really good run. Excellent so far. Up through the second sector. Leisen, Montero, Ty, Mikilev, Shormans. Starting procedure under investigation, so I wonder if that's to do with Pablo Riccobono or whether something else has occurred, because that could certainly cause a bit of an issue. Montero trying to close up on Leisen. Apologies, it looks like a couple of our cameras are struggling a little bit in the accelerated winds that we have here. Started to pick up a little bit since the start. It was at about 7 kilometers per hour. It has increased a bit since then. So apologies if there's a little break in the signal, but Bodish Leisen is leading the way. Everybody back home in Poland will be absolutely loving this. And it is wonderful to see the 15-year-old, one of the youngest in the field, going for glory here, doing such a fantastic job. Oh, big con, that's the and a pass there. So Luna Flusha in dire straits, all sorts of problems. She recovers, and it's a collision there with the 94, I believe. So that is going to be Jordan Moodley in the G4. So big problems, I'm afraid, for several in the field, and no surprises at all. There is a safety car on track. Well, I think that was to be expected under the circumstances. Big disaster. Not what you want at all. So I'm afraid that very much is game over for Jordan Moodley. Big damage to his car. Not entirely sure how that happened. So we'll see how that one has transpired. I think he might have actually rolled it in the middle of the incident, Jordan Moodley. One of those moments where you look at the timing screen at exactly the wrong moment. Only the end of the incident is what I caught, so we may well get a replay of that, but only if the driver in question, Jordan Moodley, is okay. In turn 13, on the exit, you've got to keep on the LHS, which of course is the far side of the course. So we're going to see the remnants of Jordan Moodley's car, which is looking quite battered and bruised. Here you are. The drivers have been told they're going to be able to keep on the left-hand side, basically. That's what the LHS is. So stay to the left-hand side and you'll be able to pick your way through. While Jordan Moodley is still sat in the car at the moment. He's probably a little bit battered on that one. It looks pretty rough and ready, doesn't it? It looks like a modern version of a Formula Ford. Never mind an F4 car. So Jordan Moodley having all sorts of issues there. And it certainly looks as if the camera on the top of the roll hoop has come off the car, so that would indicate that he does have a bit of a headache on that one. Oh, the car's actually stopped. The cars have gone so slowly through there, they've actually stopped, and we've got 5 cars stationary at the scene of Jordan Moodley's incident. Now, when you bring these cars to a stationary stop, they're not the easiest to get started again. And if that car has actually stalled, then we've got a queue of cars at the back of the field not moving. So I'm trying to make out who it is. We've got about 4 or 5 cars there not moving. That is Frigolay, Rodriguez, Neto, Martinez and Mota. Well, let's go to the pits where Alex Garcia is waiting for some updates with us. Alex, what can you tell us about the first lap incident?
Jake, I'm just waiting. If we wait just a few seconds, there's a car coming in, so I'll just peek in and see who is exactly it that we have next to us. In fact, this is one of the GRS machines. That's, of course, number 96. We can see it. In fact, I'll get out of the way so we can show the car a little bit better. That's, of course, Rodriguez's machine. I have been talking as well to GRS about Alphonse, who of course, had the trouble on the first lap. But he couldn't tell me anything yet. They don't have yet any idea on what failed. So they're waiting to get the car back, which is a shame because they were looking forward to a good start of their story this 2026 with the Finnish driver. Fortunately, it has been a pretty dire start of the weekend for GRS. That's really unfortunate.
Yeah, disastrous start to the season for GRS then. It wasn't exactly fantastic 2 months ago in Valencia, and here at Portimao, no different. We're just seeing some replays of the incidents at the start. We may well get another look at what happened with Jordan Moodling. Just a little bit too much wheel spin, unfortunately, for the pole sitter, Jakob Mikulev. That does come with inexperience, I suppose. So the pressure of him being on pole position for the first time, it's always a risk. But Bodisch-Leisen, what a great start from him. And with Noel Montero and Nathan Tye hot on his heels on this restart, Alex, this one could be a bit of a blinder.
Yes, exactly. I mean, it has been definitely an animated start to the race. I was not expecting perhaps to have a difficult start for Mikulev, but we know starts are tricky with these machines, and not every driver nails them on the first try. I am called back to last year to how we had some of the drivers struggling. I remember Jan Priroski starting from the pole on several consecutive races, and he would struggle every race start. So it is a difficult car to master. And the difference between having a great start and messing up is very, very tiny. So it's a lesson, and it's one that I'm sure Jacob will take home with him.
Well, those 5 cars that were stalled out on the grid, they have actually got going again, but the race has been red flagged, Alex. So we've now got red flags. It's clearly going to take a little bit longer than first assumed to clear the wreckage of Jordan Moodley's car. Jordan is out of the car. That's the important thing. He's okay. So Jordan is out of the car. That's the good news. But red flag, that's a very sensible decision under the circumstances, Alex. It means we don't spend lap after lap after lap behind the safety car clearing the debris, and we can actually go racing again when the track is clear.
Exactly, and Jake, this is very important to note this weekend. Whereas on some of the weekends we are sharing the track with other categories, this weekend we only have basically Formula 4 Spanish Championship and Eurocup 3. This gives us a little bit more leeway to move things around, to shift them around, to make sure that we do not lose any minute of racing, because sometimes we have to do it, because there's if there's 5 or 6 races to be done on a single day. To stop the race for now. We want to have as many minutes of race time as we can. Now I'm just watching the cars coming behind me, lining up on the pit lane. But it's a good decision. It's been pretty quick, which I think it's a good thing. So my hat off to the race direction, because luckily that means that we're going to have a restart, not too long distance.
Yes, indeed, and because we actually completed 3 laps of racing before the red flag, then we will stay in the positions we're currently in. Now, if there's a red flag in the first 2 laps, then we reset the race to its original starting grid positions, essentially. But because we have gone beyond that point now, we will actually have the race starting in single file formation under safety car under rolling start proceedings, and that's going to be Bodisch-Leisen in pole position. I got to feel a little bit here for Jakob Mikulev, Alex. All of that pressure heading into the first corner, dropping to 4th position, that will have really messed with his head a little bit. I think that could have easily affected his confidence. But look, we know he's fast, we know he's quick, and he can use this red flag as a chance to reset. He can regain his composure, he can reset, and he can actually go into this knowing he's got a fast car underneath him. And in 4th position, he's no longer the hunted. Now he's the hunter.
These were my thoughts exactly. The pressure has shifted now. And more importantly, it's what we were saying. The laps haven't, and the time hasn't been cut as much as it could have. So that means there's plenty of time to recover. Portimao is a good place to do it. And now he can just, breathe a little bit, breathe in, breathe out, relax, get ready to go back into the fighting mode. Surely I'm sure that the team is doing that through the radio. Because that's of course one of the jobs that race engineers have to do with the drivers. He's managing also their mental state during the races, and I'm thinking that he'll be sure to come back with the fighting spirit. Because we have to remember as well. Yes, these drivers are new to Formula 4, but they have fought with the best of the best, the cream of the top in karting. So they know what it is like to fight for wins. They know what it is like to have a rolling start, and they know what it is like to go wheel to wheel with their most hated or heated rivals. So this is not necessarily new for them in a mental sense. It's only the technical side that's different. So I think he's going to be ready to fight back in just a few minutes when we start.
Yeah, it's funny, these drivers know each other so well because they've been racing each other for years in the karting circuits, when they've been racing in the FIA Karting Championship, in the RGMMC Run Championships, Champions of the Future, Miami Euro. They've been WSK out in Italy in various different categories in their own native lands as well. So these guys all know each other. They've been racing a couple of seasons, or maybe this is their first year in the F4, but they know each other so well, having crossed paths in many different karting categories. So they kind of know the dynamic of each other to a certain extent. And it's fabulous. These friendships just keep on going all the way through motorsport. You never forget who was in your class at school. In the same way, you never forget who was on the same grid as you in the world of karting. Boris Lazim, the Polish driver, with all of the weight of expectation on his shoulders now. Such incredible talent and such amazing development from so young an age. There are drivers 2 or 3 years older than him on this grid, and yet he has already demonstrated he could potentially be a champion this year. There's an immense amount of pace and development from him already. If he can continue to develop this kind of battle, he's definitely got good opportunity to make that work. Noel Montero, second position in the lineup on home soil, looking good for another strong chance. The Griffin Core driver with big weight of expectation on his shoulders. Nathan Ty, third position going into this restart, and Jakub Mikulev, after his difficulties on the start, as we said before, he can reset. Alex, by the way, has obviously disappeared off to the F4 Spanish Championship feed so that he can speak with the Spanish listeners and update them on what's going on down in pit lane from their perspective. This is one of the few championships where we have coverage in 2 different languages, both in English and in Spanish. There is Nathan Ty, third position for the British driver, who came so close to getting the Spanish winter title done. He really is carrying the Drivex team up another level. He is really pushing the team forward, and Simon Bolbarella, Elliot Kaczynski, they are really starting to take a lot of data on board from Nathan, and they are pushing the whole team forward. It's wonderful to see that the squad is really starting to elevate itself now, and Nathan Ty has not done this for the first time. He's been in this position several times before. He's actually been the mastermind behind the rejuvenation and the renaissance of Sodi in international karting at junior and senior level. They were always really strong in gearbox, but he's really galvanized them in the latter stages of his karting career. So he's quite an amazing team player. Jakub Mikulev, the man from Takalai in Malta, really hoping that this is going to be a big chance for him to recapitalise now on having a fast car underneath him. And there is the number 40, Kasper Schormans. He is a real dark horse. He's got an amazing ability to push himself further forward when other people are not expecting him to be there. Diamond in the rough is the phrase that comes to mind, and he certainly has amazing waft of talent for someone who doesn't have a huge budget behind him. So really incredible to see what he's been able to do with it. Sadly, no replay on the incident with Luna Flusha and Jordan Moodley. We've got to remind ourselves that this is a Formula 4 race. We don't have 20,000 cameras looking at everything from 27 different angles. So sometimes we do miss things. That's the way it is. But the good news, and the only news that really matters, is that Jordan Moodley is perfectly okay. He was able to get himself out of his car, and he and the G4 Racing team will now be resetting and hopefully getting ready for the next race later. Whether the team will be able to repair his car in time for the sprint race later, that's a different story. Of course, 5 races over the course of this weekend. Not 6, because Euro Cup 3 is not having a triple header weekend. They've only got a handful of sprint race weekends this year, 3 in total, I believe. And so every other weekend, we've only got 2 races in the weekend. It's going to be a fascinating battle in that race as well. I'm not going to give away any spoilers just yet, but qualifying in Euro Cup 3 was pretty sensational as well. So it should be a fantastic race later on in Euro Cup 3. But of course, as Alex already mentioned, with this being a weekend with only F4 Spain and Euro Cup 3 on the bill, we've got the whole racetrack to ourselves. We don't have to worry about support championships this time, so we can pretty much take our time over things. It's quite a laid-back weekend for the championship and for the drivers and teams, despite the fact that it's a proper full-scale championship race weekend. There's only actually 5 sessions today, would you believe, and 4 sessions tomorrow, because they've had a qualifying session each. They'll have another one tomorrow, and then 3 races today, 2 races tomorrow. So fascinating how it all goes according to plan. The Orange Army, the Marshals, keeping us safe and sound. They were very quick to respond, actually, to the incident for Jordan Moodley. And, of course, the officials in communication with the Marshals, they made it very clear, look, this is going to take a while, so you may as well red flag this. And the race director clearly taking heed and going, do you know what? That's a good idea. I'm going to stop it. The good news, of course, for the fans is that they don't have to worry or concern themselves with injuries. They've just got the slight nerves and impatience, I assume, of waiting for the race to restart. If you've got any questions or if you've got any comments that you want to put forward, any support to any particular drivers, then this is your chance to do it on the YouTube stream. Please do. We try and take as many questions and comments as humanly possible. So let's hope that we're going to get ourselves under starters orders very soon indeed. I'll keep an eye on things on race control, and when they tell us when we're going to get a restart again, I'll keep you informed. Rocco Coronel, he's going to be restarting this race from higher than he started on the race grid. 11th on the grid originally, now in P8, behind the Canadian Ty Fisher. So a good chance for him to move himself forward. Vivek Kanthan in P6. He had 2 wins on the road in Valencia, but one of them was taken away due to a penalty. So he only actually came away with a win and a 10th in the end, because in race 2 he had that frightening accident, if you recall, if you were watching the first round of the championship on the first lap, that took 3 cars out of the race in one fell swoop, and it was a very scary one indeed. But fortunately everybody got away without injury. Nasher Dunion in the T-code by Amtol Kar. Looking forward to seeing what he can do from that position. Rejoined, of course, in the team by Andrei Petrovic, who had his debut in Euro Cup 3 a few weeks ago at Paul Ricard in France. But he's decided, after a round of each, you've got to pick one when the 2 championships go together. And so he's decided, the Serbian, do you know what? I'm going to go for my run in the F4 Spanish Championship. And that comes just a few days after the Serbian national volleyball team took victory against Thailand in the Volleyball Nations League. So Serbia's having a bit of a cool week in terms of sporting pedigree. So let's see if Andrei Petrovic can add to that here in Portimao in Portugal. There's Elliot Kaczynski, one of the 2 Trivex drivers up in the fast half of the field, although Simon Volparella's not far away from it. All 3 of the cars are in the top half of the field. Session will resume behind the safety car at 11:26 local time. That's in 2 minutes, folks. So we are going to get this race restarted again very soon indeed. That's good news. There is the 77, Andrei Petrovic. Good to see him back in his F4 car once again in the T-code by Amtog Kar. One to watch out for is Andrei Petrovic. He is definitely on the march forward, and it's about time that we had a strong Serbian in international motorsport consistently. There have been a couple of drivers who have had a close approximation to it over the years, but nothing that's really stuck. And so Andrei Petrovic really carrying the hopes of the nation further forward, and with big opportunity to do so as well. What about this boy, Aleix Pineda? What a start he had in Valencia. An amazing weekend that put him right up in 3rd position in the Drivers' Championship. He finished 3rd 3 times. Basically, it was cubed in Valencia. Now he's hoping to get himself back on the podium again with a much tougher there. 13th on the grid for Aleix Pineda. Hoping that this is going to be a chance for him to do so. but it's easy to predict how it out. And so much of the weekend is dictated by one of the reasons I the F4 Spanish Championship and Euro Cup 3 qualifying format. The format that we do sessions on different days. Some championships have a session back with a change of time. Prefer a qualifying session a day for run, because it means that it run, if you get it wrong, on Saturday, at least get it right for some to have a best the weekend. This is going to get restarted again. It will be a rolling start with the safety car. The spectators are ready to get the race unravelled once again. Made up mainly of families, partners, brothers, sisters, sponsors of individual drivers, technical support and partners of the teams. It's nowhere near on the same scale as Formula One, but these guys are so much more connected. They are part of the embryo of this race championship. Such an important part of the battle. Technically, it will be a pit lane start, as Kevin KV4U points out on YouTube. I'm sorry if I butchered your username. But the race will technically restart in the pit lane behind the safety car. The timer will start ticking, but we'll go to green conditions after what I assume is going to be 2 laps behind the safety car. It's normally 2 rather than 1. Looks as though we've got a bit of a delayed start, actually. The 5-minute board has just gone up. So clearly the officials have informed us that there needs to be a little bit of a delay to the starting procedure. We were told it was going to be 11:26. It is now 11:27 and the 5-minute board has gone up. So clearly just a little bit of additional housekeeping was clearly needed on the far side of the circuit. This happens occasionally as well, folks. You can get the call from race control that the race is going to restart at a particular time, and then suddenly, whatever it is, whether it's an electrical problem, whether it's a logistical issue, whether it's something to do with the kinetics of where the safety cars and recovery cars are around the circuit, something is out of position, throw another 5 minutes on it, make sure it's done correctly, and then get racing again. It may be annoying for you to wait, but if you're not at the circuit, you don't necessarily know all the ins and outs of what the situation is. Even I don't know what the ins and outs of the situation are at any given time. I only get the information that's feeded to me when it's relevant. 3-minute board goes up. And of course, the only thing that's important to take into consideration in all of this is, yes, of course, we want great racing, but we also want safety. And so it's very important indeed that the safety is adhered to above anything else. The officials and the marshals who give of their time voluntarily, mainly only their expenses are covered. They don't get paid to do this job, and they are out there in all weathers, in rain, hail, sleet and baking heat. And it is really, really fantastic to see the incredible amount of training that these guys go through to be ready for this. A lot of the training actually begins midweek as a marshal. It's definitely worth doing if you wanted to get closer to motorsport. I urge you, get in touch with your local motorsport organising governing body and have a look at getting into the sport as a marshal. So many of my friends have done it, including myself. I've done a day as a marshal, and it teaches you so much about what this sport is actually all about in the nuts and bolts of it all. And these guys and girls, they are just astonishing people. They are amazing, amazing people who really do give so much of their passion, so much of their energy, their enthusiasm, their charisma, and their love of the sport. And nobody gets closer to motorsport in any capacity, in any discipline, than the marshals do. They are on point. They are absolutely fantastic, and we cannot race without them. So a massive thank you, mucho gracias, to the officials here in the F4 Spanish Championship, and to the marshals, of course, as well. It's never easy to remember the incredible commitment and the effort that they give to us when we're in the middle of this crazy world of motorsport, but these guys are just fantastic. Right, we're about to get this race back under starters' orders. Alex Garcia is in pit lane. What can you tell us about this restart procedure? How is the vibe?
Well, Jake, I was initially going to tell you that it was just 3 minutes until we started, but I'm keeping an eye on the broadcast, and I saw that perfect board being shown on the screens. So I think the main news is that we're going to be launching back into action. And as a small bit of information, it was just interesting to see some of the drivers keeping those umbrellas on top of them to keep them cool and collected, and some of them just went, you know what, I don't need the umbrella, I want the heat, I just want to get back in action, I just want to fight back on track. So different mentalities, but I'm sure that all of them want to fight as hard as they can. And more than anything, Jake, thank you for that mention for all the marshals, because I think this is potentially one of the most important things that we ever see in motorsport. Without them, this just doesn't work.
So true, so true. These guys are absolutely fantastic, and I am so enamored and so in awe of what these guys do. They keep us racing and they give us the show. Without them, there is no motorsport at all. Right, off we go then. The 15-second board has been shown. We will get under starters orders when we get the green light. There we go, yellow flags, so no overtaking. And the drivers go out onto the circuit, following in pursuit of the safety car. And we have currently got, by my math, 34 of them left, because Alfons Mittinen is out, and so is Jordan Moodley. So all of them now gone. 34 cars leaving, and sadly at the very back of the field now is going to be Luna Flusha after her visit to the pits, involved in that incident with Jordan Moodley. So race one is very definitely in difficult situations for them. So, well, the competitors now getting themselves back up to speed. So this is the procedure. They go behind the safety car. The time is ticking down, so technically the race has restarted, although we're under safety car procedure at this moment, so no overtaking. The timer is ticking down though, so we've got 22 minutes left. After one, possibly 2 laps, we will go back to race conditions. So it's up to the drivers now to warm the tyres and warm the brakes to the core temperature that they will need to get into the first corner as if it's race trim. So they've got to make sure that the tyres are warmed up correctly. They want confidence going through those first few corners on the first lap. Samuel UK wants to know, is the driver okay? I can tell you that Jordan Moodley is perfectly all right. It was a nasty looking incident. We only really saw the aftermath of it. We didn't really see what actually happened, but I can tell you that Jordan Moodley is okay. He is reported back to the pits. He has met with his team, and he is okay. So that is good news. He will of course report to the medical facility for safety checks, because in any incident like that you always go for precautionary checks. But the news I am told on Jordan Moodley is that all is good. Safety car in this lap. So it's only going to be a 1-lap safety car procedure for the restart. That is great news for us. Might not necessarily be great news for Boris Leeson, because now he's got all the pressure of Noah Montero in his backyard, heading down to turn 1. Lesion, Montero, Ty, Mikulev, Shormans, Canthan, Fisher, Coronel, Tunion and Kelleher on this restart in the top 10. So let's see what is going to happen on this restart. Everybody wants to keep close. It's up to Lesion to control the pace. So Boris Lesion in first position, ready for his restart. He's still weaving the tyres. Many of the drivers behind him have stopped doing so because they want to get the bra forward. It looks like Boris Lesion has lit the tyres up, and he has gone for it. He has indeed. So up and over the top of the crest, Boris Lesion leads away as we go back to green, 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 green here at Algarve. And already drivers are trying to get their moves into turn 1. A couple of drivers fancying an overtaking move or 2. Shorman's eyeing up the move on Ty. And here comes Rocco Coronel. 3 wide into the first corner as we've got a puncture, I think. Off into the runoff area for Jakob Mikulev. It looks as though he's got a puncture. Disaster for the pole sitter. Mikulev goes backwards down the field. And he has got no chance now of getting into the points the way things currently look. That is devastating for the Maltese talent. But look at this on the restart as drivers are going 2, 3, 4 wide on the approach to the braking zone for the hairpin at the bottom of the course. At the end of the first sector, leave each other some space, gentlemen. Oh, it's all gone wrong. That's the Drivex going around, and everybody else has got to take avoiding action. Oh, devastating. I think that was Elliot Kaczynski who gets pitched around. Certainly one of the Drivex cars. It looks to me like the 44, and there are yellow flags. When you've got so many contenders trying to go for the same bits of racetrack, there is always going to be a conflagration. And it is indeed Kaczynski. He's the one who's been spat out of the queue. So Kaczynski is out of contention, and so too is Mickey Blaszkos. He's gone down the order as well. He's dropped back several places too. Still yellow flags. Will that turn into a safety car? It's a long lap here, so as long as Kaczynski can get moving again, he might be able to get off the racetrack and out of harm's way. So back into race trim we go. Kaczynski has come through at the end of the second sector, but safety car despite that. So safety car is back on track once again. Split second decision needed there by race control. So never easy on the restart when everybody wants to move their way further forward. There were two separate incidents on that lap, because we had an incident for Elliot Kaczynski, the one that you saw, and we also had an incident for the one that you didn't see, which was Mickey Blaszkos. We're going to see a replay. Now watch the red and white car on the outside of the 3 wide. Ready, tries to get back on the track, but he's got 2 cars to his left. No chance. And everybody else trying not to smash into the front wing of Elliot Kaczynski's car. But there was another incident in all of that. Kaczynski's come back to pit lane, so has Jakub Mikulev. The safety car's actually really bought Jakub Mikulev another get-out-of-jail-free card, and there is Mickey Blaszkos getting out of his Monlau. Well, that's disappointing for the Spanish talent. He was really hoping for a little bit more in this one. But Mickey Blaszkos gets out of the Monlau, and that's the reason we're under safety car. Nothing to do with Elliot Kaczynski's car at all. Just because Blaszkos had come to a stop on turn 9. So that was the second incident, the one you didn't see. I wonder if Blaszkos just picked up some damage there, because he looked to me like he was one of the drivers that ran over the front wing of Elliot Kaczynski's car, and that probably damaged the floor, at which point we've got a safety car. But look, there is the recovery vehicles making their way to the course. So I think we're only actually going to be under safety car for another lap and a half. They're pretty close to the marshal post there, so this should be a fairly quick procedure. But it's devastating news for Mickey Blaszkos and the Monlau team nonetheless. So the field now drops to 33. And right at the back of the field now are Andre Rodriguez and Luna Flusha. It looks to me as though Rodriguez and Flusha are actually a lap down after their incidents earlier on. So essentially this has now become a test session for Andre Rodriguez and Luna Flusha. But here is the order. It hasn't changed much. But up at the front end, it is it is Boris Leisen. There is Mickey Blaszkos' car. Boris Leisen leading from Noah Montero and Nathan Ty. Kasper Schormans is 4th in front of Vivek Kanthan and Rocco Coronel. So they are pushing hard to get back into the podium positions. Tunion and Petrovic now 7th and 8th. 9th is Ty Fisher. 10th is Philip Caras. Good work for the G4 driver. 11th is Dan Kelleher. 12th is Anish Pinheira, who is struggling to make an impact this weekend in the Technicar. 13th is Jensen Burnett. Jean-Philippe Canas 14th from Simon Barbarella and Fausto Ronaldo. Louis Cochet, Zoe Fladescu, Sam Rus, Max Radek, Felipe Rice, Pablo Ricabono, Marian Neto, Rahim Alibai, Bolivet, Dan Motta. Yuzuki Sato is 27th in front of Sebastian Frigolet, and then it is Rodrigo Martinez, the Mexican, in front of Jakub Mikulev, who started from pole position but picked up a puncture on the restart. He's now down in 30th in front of Elliot Kaczynski, who spun on that last lap. And then 32nd is Andre Rodriguez, the young man from Colorado in the United States, in front of Luna Flusha, Mickey Blaszkos, Jordan Moodley and Alphonse Mitternen, all out of the race. Interesting question comes in from Kevin. Why is Andre Rodriguez in F4 and not Eurocup? Now that's an interesting one, because Andre Rodriguez is clearly helping out the GRS team. This happens a couple of times in the paddock, because you've got 2 different championships that these competitors run in. This is a replay of the restart and a few of the highlights from that restart. Safety car will be in this lap. Just to come back to what happened with that question with Andre Rodriguez. Now, some of the teams bring in what you could technically call, I suppose, a ringer, and that's to help the whole team move further forward, because they can use their data, they can be valuable in actually helping the whole team move forward. We saw that last time out at Paul Ricard in Euro Cup 3 with Linus Lundqvist at Double R. He actually went to help them out with their data. That's the incident that pitched Elliot Kaczynski around. We didn't actually see the incident with Miki Blaszczykowski, but you can see several drivers hitting the front wing, so I can only assume that Miki Blaszczykowski actually picked up some damage in that incident, and that's why he ended up going out of the race under safety car. Safety car in this lap though, as we mentioned, and Boris Leisen is going to back up the pack, but he's dropped the throttle. He's done. He's gone for the hammer, and look at that restart from Leisen. That is exactly what you want on the restart. Absolutely spot on from the pole, and as we go over the crest, it's green, 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 and look at Nathan Ty. He's already taking on Noah Montero. Watch for Casper Schurmans as well. Leisen's got a decent run. Ty's going to follow in the wheels tracks of Casper Schurmans. Schurmans is going to try and get to the inside of Montero, Montero drifting wide, and Ty's through the second, Schurmans through the third, Montero keeping it on the far side. Watch out for Vivek Canthan. He's on the inside of Rocco Coronel defending his place, and now he's going to join in. So now Montero and Canthan are catching up to Casper Schurmans. What a restart from Nathan Ty. Fantastic to move into second place. Chasing down the pole, Boris Leisen. And now side by side, Canthan and Montero. Is that Canthan through? Yes, it is. Coronel's now on the inside of Montero. These are the championship combatants, don't forget. And the T-Codes are both going to take Coronel. Tunion's got him. Petrovic is going to do the same. Round the outside, can Petrovic finish that? Is he through? Yes, he is! Brilliant from the T-Codes. So that's Petrovic and Tunion both getting in front of Rocco Coronel. And that's the championship leader back down to 8th position. What a restart! Now we're on for a proper race battle. And Tunion has got ahead of one of the... Tunion's got ahead of Montero. So Montero's had an absolute howler of a restart. He started second and he's now down to P6. Coronel's down to 8th as well. What a restart. It's all a shuffle of the deck here at the front. Looks like Ty Fisher and Dan Kelleher are on the move in the top 10 as well. So as we work our way out of the final turn, this is going to be an interesting one as to who's going to get the slipstream. Noah Montero's got to reset himself. He's got to regroup up over the top of the crest. And Montero's now in real danger of losing out to the Serbian Andrej Petrovic. 11.5 on the clock. And here goes Petrovic, right up against the pit wall nearly. Shades of Schumacher and Barrichello in Hungary many years ago in Formula 1. He's up on the inside, good battles further back. That's Barbarella trying to get in the mix there as well. Kelleher having a look for the inside line, trying to take on the Canadian Ty Fisher. Everywhere you look, there's sensational battles. That's Portimao for you. Now, what can Montero do to fend off from the Serbian Andrej Petrovic down to the braking zone? Is Petrovic going to go right round the outside of the Portuguese? They're going to bang wheels if we're not careful. Petrovic keeps his foot in round the outside. If he picks up the move, that could get investigated. But he's got to keep his foot in. He's a racing driver. He's not going to back out of it. And they nearly interlock wheels. Oh, that could have been a nasty one. And Petrovic gets the move. That was sheer intimidation from the Serbian on Noah Montero. He made a decision. Look, you can hit me or you can let me have the corner. And Andrej Petrovic shows Montero who's boss. Now he's holding the inside line to protect on the way through the apex, and Coronel got a full bird's eye view of the lot of it. Up to the left-hander. Slight ascension on the crest here. It always takes a little bit out of the section. Then you drop down. It's long, long drop. But Boris Leisen has got Nathan Ty in his wake, and 0.6 of a second in the toe is enough. Nathan Ty could be on for a win if he can challenge Boris Leisen, but he's got to look after the tyres. Leisen doing a good job there of getting off the racing line to try and break the initial toe, and that saves his bacon for a lap. Look at this squabble further back. Petrovic, Montero and Coronel having an absolute barnstormer down into the braking zone. Another lock up there from Vivek Canthan. He's struggling on tyres a little bit by the look of things. Coronel trying again. Far side radius on Montero. Can he get the switcheroo out of 4? Get kicked out through the left-hander, but he'll get a faster run. Montero struggling for traction by the look of it. Coronel has got a little bit of a faster run. And he's going to carry the might of Kelleher. Along with him, Coronel, late decision! It's the contact, and Montero kicks out wide. Oh, that was a close one between the championship rivals, and Coronel has to put one wheel on the grass, and they're still battling it out. Oh, fantastic. So Coronel has to wait. Kelleher trying to hold it to the inside line. This is a sensational battle. As they come back over the crest, Coronel tries again on Kelleher, but it's getting racy out there. Alex Garcia, news down in pit lane. What can you tell us?
We were just now at Drivex, and we've just seen Barella stopping for a quick check of the car. Of course, the race hasn't exactly been going his way. Sometimes when races don't go your way, you make a quick stop, you check that everything's fine, you change your focus for the race, and you try new things to prepare the next races of the weekend. So that's probably what's going on here in Drivex, although, as I said, it's been a bit unfortunate start for the Argentinian. But I also wanted to mention what an exciting race we're having right now between Montero and Petrovic, of course. That's been definitely the highlight of the race, I think, so far.
Gracias, Alex. Yes, big problems at Drivex. 2 of the 3 drivers now in dire straits. Look at this switch up onto the run to the first corner as Coronel hunts down Kelleher. Kelleher is now in 8th position. So Montero and Coronel are having nightmare races between them. Montero down to 7th, Coronel down to 9th, up on the inside. That's a lovely bit of racing from Cochet. Cochet getting his move on the inside as he duels away with the Romanian Zoe Florescu, who's having a much better race weekend, I have to say. Florescu really driving much stronger here in Portimao, right up in the high end of the field, looking odds on for a top half finish. Even if you're not racing for points, you've got to fight your battles. Leischen, the back end of the car starting to light up. And this is what happens when you're trying to outrun a man with so much experience in the F4 Spanish Championship. This is his 3rd season, don't forget. So Nathan Tai working hard. Boris Leisen holding the car to ransom, but the back end is starting to light up. What a wobble from Tunion. The crosswinds can really catch you out here. And the second that the tyres start to dissipate, that wing starts to get very light indeed on some of these faster apexes, and you suddenly realise the back end is trying to overtake the front. And you find yourself in an audition for the latest Fast and Furious movie. Out of the final turn, up the crest again. Tai looking for that toe. It's not that far away, 0.7 of a second. It's just agonisingly close. He needs a mistake from Leischen that will cost him a couple of tenths of a second, and then he'll have the natural toe. There is Casper Schormans, so impressive, his drive so far. 3rd position for the MP driver. 4th for Tunion, another big race from the Spaniard, and he has got such opportunity now to try and drive away from Vivek Canthan. But get this, Canthan, P5, Montero, P7, Coronel, P9. All of the title contenders are struggling in race 1. So this is going to make it open season. The championship rivals are certainly not going to be the same ones that we saw coming out of Valencia. And what about Aleix Pineda? Well, he's 1 place away from the points. He's up to 11th now. So he's got to try and find his way past Ty Fisher, who is not going to be an easy nut to crack, I tell you. Fastest lap of the race comes in, and that is from Andrej Petrovic. The Serbian absolutely on it. Hunting down his closest challenger, Vivek Canthan. No easy man to pass. He's trying to have a go right round the outside of the man from New York. Can he get it done? No, not on this occasion. This is sensational from Andrej Petrovic. Serbia having a fantastic week, of course. I did mention earlier that they were victorious in the Volleyball Nations League against Thailand earlier this week, and now Serbia have clearly given the winning feeling to Andrej Petrovic, who's trying to work his way further forward. From a difficult starting position, he's already up from 10th to 6th. But what about Leischen and Tai? Tai is visibly closer than he was. Half a second, that's the magic half a second. Is that enough to get in the toe? He's definitely raining down on Leischen a little, isn't he? The gap's down to 0.4, and now suddenly he's behind him, right behind him. Right, so Nathan Tai on the next lap, if he can have a clean one, and follow the pole, he's going to be in the natural toe that you get on the main straight. So Nathan Tyre's been looking after his tyres, he's been patient, he's not overdriven the car, and look at Nacho Tunion, he has dropped Canthan. Here comes Canthan and Petrovic. It's 2x2, hurrah, and Petrovic is really putting Canthan under pressure. Down the crest. Petrovic round the outside, is he going to pull off the ultimate switch on Vivek Canthan? He's going to get it done, and he squeezes Canthan. He backs him into a corner, and that's wonderful from Andrej Petrovic. Stunning racecraft from the Serbian. That man is absolutely on it like a car bonnet when he's got a decent set of wheels under his right foot. And Andrej Petrovic storming. Absolutely brilliant. That's P5 from the Tico driver. Vivek Canthan trying to come back at him. But as good as Andrej Petrovic is in offense, he is mighty in defense as well. Oh really, you want to have another go at me, do you? Well, you're going to have to come up with a pretty special magic trick. I know exactly where I'm going to place the car. I know exactly where you're going to go. Come and have a go if you think you're hard enough, says Andrej Petrovic. And now here comes Noah Montero. He fancies a chance to get back into this one. Down to 7th place, of course. Canthan 6th, Montero 7th, Coronel 9th, Pineda 11th. As far as the championship is concerned, it's open season. And now Montero's in the toe of his teammate Canthan, who in turn, is trying to get the toe of Petrovic. Petrovic breaks the toe. Here comes Montero on Canthan. Can he sweep around the outside at turn 1? He'll need to be brave. The teammates are wheel to wheel. Montero can't quite make it work. So he's got to wait. And they've got another stablemate in tow. That is Ty Fisher. That is the Irishman Dan Kelleher. Dan Kelleher making his move. Well, Luna Flusha and Dan Kelleher were consecutive cadet champions in the Miami Euro Series many years ago. So it's great to see them both now in F1 Spanish. How close was that to contact without actually getting it? That was millimetres in it as Kelleher power slid his way out of the hairpin and practically whispered the white walls of the 81. My oh my, that was close. So over the top of the crest again. Kick out through the left. Yellow flags. We've got an issue somewhere. It's yellow flag at turn 5. We've just gone through there, so that's going to be someone in the midfield having an issue. We'll see if that turns into a safety car because we've only got 1 minute and 20 on the clock. We certainly couldn't use one now. But it looks as though we've got an issue or two. Yellow flags out on the course. Oh, that's race over. Safety car. That's Louis Cochet. What a shame. He was having a good run as well. The race is going to end on the safety car. That's so unfortunate. Nathan Ty had done all that hard work and got within half a second of Boris Leisen. And now we have an incident that puts us... Oh, it wasn't even his fault. Poor Louis Cochet, he had nowhere to go. Andre Rodriguez lost the back of the car. And Louis Cochet couldn't react in time. So Louis Cochet totally blameless. Yellow flags. Safety car. 30 seconds to go. Unless that safety car is only out for 1 lap, we are going to finish this race under it. And it depends on where the race leader, Boris Leisen, is on the track. If he's in sector 1, we've got a chance of finishing this. Oh, there we go. So if they can clean this quickly, we may just get 1 last green flag. Let's hope. Let's hope that this race doesn't end under safety car, because it's always a little bit annoying when it does. We're racing enthusiasts. We want to see the race go all the way to green. That's a very sensible decision. Cut through the shortcut, because that's where the car is stationary for Louis Cochet. And look at that. The team are already on it. Get that car moved quick. We may just get a green flag lap in. Time's run down, but it's 30 minutes plus 1 lap. So we may just get a green light to go for 1 flying lap here. Well done to the marshals. They were so quick on that. So we must get a green flag lap in. Even if we don't, I don't want anybody saying a bad word about these marshals. They are absolutely fantastic. Very quick indeed. They're going to put it behind the marshal post. If we get the all clear, safety car in. this lap. There you go. We're going to get one lap dash to the flag, and anything can happen. Remember that Euro Cup 3 race a couple of years ago when Alex Abkasava only led one lap of the whole season, and it ended up being the last lap when he took the victory. In fact, it was the only lap he ever led in Euro Cup 3 up to that point. This is Portimao. Anything can happen. And we are going to get a green flag last lap dash. If you're not rubbing your hands together in glee, you don't love much as I do. Safety cars coming in. And so now all eyes turn to Boris Leisen. What can he do on this restart? Nathan Ty is right there to steal it. And if they both get it wrong, Kasper Schurmans, Nasho Dunjon and Andrej Petrovic are waiting in the wings. This is an absolute rout. There goes Boris Leisen. Nathan Ty's gone relatively with him. But he's not quite going to get the natural toe. Off a safety car restart, it's not going to be easy, but let's try. Green, 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 green. Final lap at Portimao. First race of the weekend of the second round of the F4 Spanish Championship 2026. Leisen protects the inside line. He's going to try for it anyway. Battles further back, and Montero and Canthan run out wide. The teammates get hung out to dry, and they've blown their chances of a decent points finish. I told you anything could happen at Portimao, and Nathan Ty knows it. He knows he's running out of time. Caution to the winds. Can he go for that move into the hairpin? Well, Leisen knows it's coming. Schurmans has got 2 T-codes on him. Holds the inside. To the right-hand side. Dunjon's going to make that work. He's going to get third around the outside. Dunjon will hold it. He commits. Schurmans steals it. Fantastic work. Yellow flags further back at turn 5. Same place as we had before. But this is going to go to the end, I think. Out of the final corners of the second sector. And running through, up the top of the crest. Watch out, boys. You've got a hard-charging Irishman up the inside. Keller! Oh, and up and over goes Petrovic. Oh. 3 into 1 just doesn't go at Portimao. We're on the final lap. We're going to the finish. But it's yellow flags, of course. And Petrovic is no longer in the top 5. Disaster for the Serbian. But it's going to be Boris Leisen to take the victory out in front of Nathan Ty. We wait to see the checkered flag. Here comes Boris Leisen. Ty did everything he could, but it's the pole, Boris Leisen, who wins the first race of the weekend from Nathan Ty and Kasper Schurmans, with Dan Kelleher coming through for 4th position in front of Coronel, Fischer, Dunjon, Pinheiro, Canthan and Montero get 9th and 10th. Petrovic is out of the car and he's enraged. What a way to start this weekend. Boris Leisen, fabulous drive. Majestic race win from Boris Leisen. Nathan Ty working so hard to catch him. And I think without that safety car before, he probably had a chance to get it done. But what a crazy end to this first race of the weekend. Nathan Ty, 2nd place for Drivex. That's their best result in season of the F4 Spanish Championship. They've had wins in the Winter Championship, of course, but that's their best result in the F4 Spanish Championship for quite some time. And Kasper Schurmans, his best ever result in the F4 Spanish Championship. 3rd place for the Dutchman. Great run. And provisionally, Dan Kelleher will join them on the rookie podium. But at the moment, 4th position. I have a feeling there could be an investigation, though, because there's definitely going to be a little bit more conversation. And of course, there will also be a trophy for the first female driver home, and that's going to be Zoe Florescu. Here's that incident again. Look, Schurmans, up the inside comes Kelleher. He tags Dunjon. Dunjon goes into his teammate, and wow! Up and over goes Petrovic. Fortunately, he's on 4 wheels, and Andrej Petrovic, well, he's not hurt, but he's angry. And I wouldn't really blame him for that one, because he got spat out on the last lap, went for what could have been a podium. So Bodischleisen takes the victory after a very tough race. That was only the first race of the weekend. Can you believe it? We've still got 2 great races to come. We've got the shortest sprint race this afternoon, 20 minutes plus 1 lap. And then we've got race 2 tomorrow with a fresh new quality session before it. Tomorrow morning. But what a start for Bodischleisen, who adds a meaty victory to his tally. And this time it's not a reverse grid win. It's one he rolled his sleeves up and bare hands. A fabulous drive from the Super Pole in Bodischleisen. His very measured, I have to say. And that was a very, very great that. Nathan Tice straight. Oh, sorry, Casper Schultz, I should say. Over to congratulate Bodischleisen. The team are happy. Good job indeed. Bodischleisen, awesome drive. Impressive form from him this weekend so far. That's a very amount of points to add to his tally. And with the championship that's faltering a little, Coronel P5, Canther P9, Montero P10, Pineda P8. It's a bit of an open house battle in the title fight. Valencia is clearly ancient history. Portimao, it's game on. What a start. So the winners this season then, Rocco Coronel twice, and Vivek Canthan at Valencia. But now Bodischleisen is added to the tally. Nathan Tice second from Casper Schulmans, Dan Kelleher and Rocco Coronel. All provisional, of course. Ty Fischer, Nasha Tunion, Alish Pineda, and then Vivek Canthan and Noah Montero off on the last lap, but still just about scraping into the points-paying positions. Behind them, it's the Carras twins, 11th and 12th. Burnett is 13th, a good comeback from him. From Fausto Bernardo and Bolavet, good drive from the Belgian. Max Radek, Pablo Ricobono, Rahim Alibai, and Yuzuki Sato in the top 20 in his first car race. Not bad going. 20th for Daniel Motta, good effort from him as well. Barbarella, Frigole, Martinez and Jakub Mikalev, a race of what could have been. Zoe Florescu in front of Felipe Rice, and then Elliot Kaczynski, another missed opportunity for him. Marianito, Sam Urus and Andrei Petrovic out of the race, as well as Luna Flusha, Louis Cochet, Andre Rodriguez, Miki Blashkos, Jordan Moodley, and the man who didn't even start, Alphonse Bittinen. But Bodischleisen, a very worthy winner after a stunning start to the season. He really did prove out there that it doesn't matter what the big guys throw at you, he's got what it takes to keep his nerve. Fabulous racecraft from Bodischleisen. When all the pressure was on him, he did not buckle under the strain, and he becomes the latest winner in the main season of the F4 Spanish Championship. And of course, that's also a victory for KCL. So he can be very happy indeed with that. The Polish driver, with backing from Orlen, as so many racing drivers from Poland have over the years. The likes of Robert Kubica, Timit Kucharczyk, Maciej Gladish, Kasper Stuka, and now, of course, this man indeed, Bodischleisen. Well, who is going to be the next Polish driver to Formula One? Well, Alex Garcia may be about to speak to him. A fabulous victory in the first race of the weekend for Bodischleisen of KCL.
We are with the race 1 winner here in Portugal, Bodischleisen. That was fantastic, wasn't it?
Yeah, good experience. Managed to get a clean start, went into first. Obviously at the last point of the race I overheated the tires a bit, so my pace dropped. And then I needed to hold Nathan behind, the most experienced driver of this series. And this was not the best experience ever, but then we managed to bring it home and I'm super happy.
How does one keep the cool and the calm when you have several restarts, one after the other, and you know that every time that you have a restart, you cannot do the exact same restart as you did before because the rivals know it?
Yeah, I mean, just try and experiment, try other things, and if it goes good, then obviously it goes good, But when you make a mistake, when you do something bad, then it's good to learn from. So I think it's just do not be afraid, of trying new things.
We talked about this in the Spanish Winter Championship. After you win, things change a little bit. Is this the second win, the one that takes you to fighting for the championship, perhaps?
To be honest, I don't even know the standings. For me, The whole point is to improve myself as a driver and do the best I can, you know? To be honest, I don't even know what position I am, but like I'm just having good fun.
Okay, I'll add a next bit of homework for you, which is enjoy the win.
Okay, thank you.
Enjoy the win, he will. Got to remember, as far as my maths are accurate, there's only one driver on the grid younger than Bodischleisen, and that is Ty Fisher, born on Boxing Day, 2010. Nathan Ty, though, as Bodisch pointed out, the most experienced driver on the grid. Super cool. Second place will have to do. He knows that a win was there for the taking, but he is a smart enough man to also know that the likes of Coronel, Canthan, Montero, Pinera were all behind him. And as far as the championship is concerned, that'll do nicely. So no reason to get head up, certainly no reason to panic. And despite the delay of the red flag earlier on, everybody able to get a decent run to the finish, apart from the handful of drivers that were not able to make the flag. There's Zoe Florescu. She was actually running in about 14th, 15th position at one point. She was still the leading lady home, but she'll be a bit frustrated that she lost those 10 positions, because she would have been knocking on the door of points herself had things gone slightly better to her liking. But I'm sure she'll still be able to take the data from it and look for the next big opportunity. 3 men who have got a big future in car racing, whether that's going to be at Monaco, Indianapolis, Le Mans, maybe the Nürburgring. Plenty of big opportunities for these guys in the future, whether they take their hand to touring car racing, to GT, to Formula One, maybe even to Formula E. There's a couple of drivers who are already thinking about that as a long-term future prospect. I think they're actually talking about the incident that happened between Andrei Petrovic and Dan Kelleher and Nasser Tunion on the last lap. Nathan Ty saying he could see something in his mirrors there. Alex Garcia, what a crazy end to the first race of the weekend. But one thing we can say, Bodischleisen keeping his cool throughout.
That was definitely a crazy end to the first race of the season, or rather the weekend, Jake. I wasn't expecting it, although in hindsight maybe we should have, because as we often say, 3 cars into a corner rarely come out of unscathed. But that was, without a doubt, a fantastic bit of racing action. Even though the end was not what we like to see, because we never like to see crashes, it is great to see drivers giving their all and showing those skills that make us fall in love with motorsport again and again. And of course, seeing another race win, and I was right on that one. We did see a new winner from this 2026 season. It's always great, because now we have, the points are bunching up together a bit more. I know that we're still very early on in the championship, so things can still change very quickly. But we have seen so many drivers fighting for those good positions. We have seen the top drivers in Valencia struggling here, which means that we don't really necessarily know who's going to be the big candidates for the title. We thought we knew in Valencia, at least I thought I knew, but things are not necessarily so clear now. So good, I'm happy about that, because this means that we open a new can of worms, we open a new situation where each race will have to give us more information to try and get it.
Yeah, things have become so competitive now in the F4 Spanish Championship that in qualifying sessions, Alex, we're not playing with thousandths of a second or hundredths or any of that. We're talking about minuscule moments, a slight blip off a curb, a missed radius, and that can change the entire course of a weekend.
We had less than 0.3 of a second between the top 11 drivers in qualifying. In a circuit that is almost 2 minutes long for these cars. That is nothing. The tiniest, as you said, minuscule mistake just sends you 6 or 7 positions away from where you should be. And this just goes to show you just how tight things are. And for me, it's just a show of how talented the grid is. Boris was talking about Nathan Ty as the most experienced driver on the grid, and this just shows that everyone else is just getting to that level, and they're almost getting to that level, and we see just so little differences, and things change from one session to the next, from one weekend to the next, so you never know who's going to be competitive, and this is, to me, the essence of motorsport.
That's the F4 Spanish Championship for you. Gracias, Alex. Thank you for your help in race 1. We'll be back, of course, for Euro Cup 3 with you on very shortly. And so, to the cool-down room. Drivers getting themselves ready to venture out onto the podium for the first time this weekend. And for the second round of this year's championship. Boris Leisen, Nathan Tye and Casper Schurmans. Not necessarily the 3 drivers that many people would have put on the podium. I think a lot of them would have gone for the likes of Coronel, Canthan and Montero based on what they saw at the first weekend and of course in the Spanish Winter Championship as well. But motorsport has a habit of throwing a curveball or two our way. That's the way we like things. Unpredictable. And certainly the first race of the F4 Spanish Championship has delivered in spades. What a stunning race battle. The good news, of course, after the crazy incident on the final lap, is that Andrej Petrovic, while not making it to the top 5, he does make it to the finish of the weekend because he is going to be able to take part in the second and third races of this weekend. But he was enraged. I suppose it's better to be annoyed rather than battered and bruised, as it could have been very nasty indeed for the Serbian. But he does manage to come through the first race with more homework ahead of the second. But this man, Boris Leisen, pressure off this weekend. He's already put a decent win in his pocket, and that will certainly come with a juicy point score. Certainly helps us out in terms of the title fight as well, because things were already relatively competitive coming into the weekend. Now, well, it's just gone nuclear, because with that victory, things have definitely changed hands for Boris Leisen. He adds a decent 25 points to his tally. That puts him up to 52. And with Rocco Coronel currently looking at a provisional 5th place, he still leads the championship, but by nowhere near as much to Boris Leisen, who was 5th in the standings. He now, by my math, goes up to, I believe, 2nd in the standings. So a very good move indeed for Boris Leisen taking the win. Nathan Tye getting some decent points on the board after a 7th, 8th and 9th in the first weekend. Good to see him take a 2nd place finish. And Casper Schurmans getting his first podium after a 5th, 6th and 7th in Valencia. Dan Kelleher, well, that's his best result if he's able to keep it. I have a feeling there could be a bit of an investigation into the little bit of argy-bargy between him and the Tico drivers in the first weekend. Poor Zoe Florescu, looking rather fed up. And I don't really blame her, even though she was the leading lady home. No racing driver wants to be the leading lady home. They want to be a top-level driver home. And considering that she finished 14th and 15th in Valencia, 25th was not really where she wanted to be at all. But there's definitely more chances to improve. And the Romanian, who's spent quite a bit of her youth in America, and so has a sort of a Romanian-American accent in actuality. She's got plenty of opportunities for her to move forward. One of the few drivers who decided that rather than jumping straight into cars when she'd spent a year in senior, she spent a year in gearbox karting in the European Championships, which is where the likes of Lando Norris tested and Charles Leclerc and Max Verstappen raced. If you're that kind of driver and you've got that kind of foresight, then you clearly know what you're doing. So the contenders will obviously have the podium ceremony very shortly. We've obviously got the Euro Cup 3 race about to get underway. I'm not sure if we'll be able to stay for the podium ceremony itself. If not, we'll keep you up to date with that. But certainly an amazing start to the season and a really exciting battle awaits us as we continue this weekend. Certainly all smiles at the Drivex team as their man Nathan Tye comes up to the sharp end. It's a mixed bag as ever for Campos and MP. Some drivers having a good run, others finding a few struggles along the way. So it's certainly going to be an exciting one for all of the drivers. They know that it will be very difficult to predict what will happen next. The second race will be a reverse grid race. The top 10, I believe it is, that are reversed. It may actually be 12 thinking about it, but it's a 20-minute race plus 1 lap rather than 30 minutes plus 1 lap. So less time to do things and certainly less opportunity to get things wrong. Drivers just being informed of the podium procedure, and then hopefully we can get them out onto the podium and celebrate their result. Nathan Ty turning his gesture of where he finished into a cool gesture, hoping that that's just the catalyst for a busy weekend at the office. But certainly for everybody watching back home in Poland, Boris Leisen has definitely given the fans plenty to get excited about. Very talented young man is Boris Leisen, the second youngest driver in the field, don't forget. And already what he is doing in his short time in the category is very impressive. So Florescu, the leading lady, she makes her podium. She'll be annoyed, I think, because nobody really wants to be in that position. But she's certainly getting closer to the points, that's for sure. Third position for Kasper Schormans. Good result for him. He deserves to be on the podium today, as too does Nathan Ty. Good effort from the fighter, the Tiger. But as for the latest Super Pole, it was always going to be when rather than if Boris Leisen won in the main body of the season. And it turns out that the answer was not long at all. Second weekend of the championship, and we get to hear the Polish national anthem. Ever since Robert Kubica won the Canadian Grand Prix back in 2008, Poland has been invigorated by youthful motorsport talent. And ever since Robert Kubica won the Le Mans 24 Hours a couple of seasons ago, there has been a rejuvenated invigoration for the country to continue path to glory. And Boris Leisen, this driver who is surging his way through the junior categories at the age of only 15, he is a winner in the Air Force Spanish Championship. The ladies' trophy for Zoe Florescu. That's a trophy that she'll take home, but she won't be particularly happy with it. No woman wants to be the best woman. They want to be the best driver. But her time will surely come on the development path that she is taking. Kasper Schormans. Good effort from the Dutchman. Very little experience from him. And yet, what he has done with it has been more than valuable. Good effort. Good podium finish for him. Good to see Nathan Ty putting on a show here. Second position from the most experienced driver on the grid. But his thirst for victory is unending. On the top spot, though, nobody's going to halt the charge of this man the way things are currently going. Boris Leisen, victorious in the Air Force Spanish Championship. And based on his current form, that could be the first of several. So a great start to the weekend then in the Air Force Spanish Championship Round 2 2026, certified by the FIA. Boris Leisen, Nathan Ty and Kasper Schormans on the overall podium. Zoe Florescu, the leading lady. And of course, Boris Leisen is also the leading rookie. And that's the first race of the weekend done in the Air Force Spanish Championship. There are two more to come, one this afternoon, one tomorrow midday. And we have plenty of excitement to come as well from Cup 3 here at Portimao. So as the Air Force Spanish drivers get busy with the fizzy here at the Algarve, there's definitely some more fun and game here in Portimao in Portugal. That's race one over, but there's more came from with two more races this weekend still to come, and Euro Cup 3 around the bend.
We continue with the